Whenever I take and cut boards, especially if they're ones that I got a purpose for, like those right there, those are going in my shop or my office. It's actually going to be the upstairs floor for the Rugrats room. I'll move them over on the log deck and I sweep all the sawdust off. Sawdust seems to be what kills me. The boards dry a whole lot better, a whole lot clearer, and they're perfect if there's no sawdust. And I'm not doing this for a living. I'm just doing it for my own benefit. So it doesn't matter how long it takes me. But I'll saw them up. There should have been a picture of this log at the beginning. It was about 24 inches, about 16 and a half foot long. What's left of it, I think there's 2 boards left, and then there's going to be some scrap wood still on the mill. But I'll move them over onto the log deck there. I'll square the ends up, go ahead and saw them up, cut them to size. If I'm not interested in them in the shrinkage part, in this instance I'm not, I don't care about the shrinkage, it won't hurt me. I'll cut them to size. That way when I bring them over there, I don't have to do any cutting when I go to put them up there in the loft. But the sawdust is what kills me. That log was 24 inches or thereabouts, maybe 26 or something like that. 16 foot long. And I don't have any hydraulics. This is a pure manual. Don't kid yourself. A 24-inch log that long is tough to deal with one person. I don't care how strong you are. Cant hooks, it doesn't make any difference. You really need some sort of assistance turning that thing, either the crank deal, rig you up something, a winch or something. I will eventually have it. I've just started this, so this is a work in progress for me. You should be able to see, maybe, probably easier for you to see than me in the sunlight here. That's back there in the back is my woodshed. It's that building and my office is what prompted me to buy this mill here, the Norwood mill. The office, which was making a video on that, it's like $13,000. It's a kit, you can buy it, Vermont Cottage, 16 by 20. It's like $13,000. I got trees, tons of them, and they're in my way almost, so I just turning the wood into that building. So in my line of thinking, the sawmill is free, because that one thing is $13,000. I think it's Vermont Jamaica Cottage or something like that. I've really forgotten. The woodshed back there was $3,000 or $4,000 from them. You can order the kit, rough cut lumber. You can order the kit from them, put it together yourself. I can't remember the exact price on it, but it was considerable. It doesn't take many projects to pay for the mill. Now I have, on this one here, I have 2 extensions. So I guess that means I can cut close to 20 feet, I guess, or thereabouts. And I figured out it's real easy to extend it even more yourself. And that way you'd have the entire bed but to cut. So you could cut, if the bed is 24 inches, if your bought bed is 24 inches long, you could easily cut something 24 feet. It's not much of a problem at all to build something to roll the sawmill back off the tracks and then put your log on there and move it up. But if you're going to put something on there that long, you better have about 10 people or a tractor or something to help you. It's tough. Back over here in the back, this area right here where I built this, there'll probably be some pictures of it originally. It was just kind of a junk pile. You could see tin, you could see buckets, you could see all kinds of junk over there on the ground. It's kind of where I threw a lot of stuff. You probably could see some pallets back there in the back. It was just an area I just stored stuff that'll never be used. That's why I decided to put the mill here. That way I get two things out of it. I get that area cleaned up, and then I get a large area for the mill. I'd call the mill area eventually 150 by 200. Well, eventually what I'll call the mill area here, just looking at it roughly. It'll all be clean. There won't be nothing around there. Over there in the very back, you can see some boards laying there. You might be able to make out a railroad tie or two. There's about a dozen railroad ties back there. That's my solar kiln, or the beginning of it. It worked real good. I dried a lot of stuff in there. I just stacked the wood up there. I took ground rods and drove them in the ground, and took 1-inch PVC and stuck that on there and just made a bow. And it made kind of like a Quonset hut type setup, and then put plastic over the top of it, and it worked real good. As long as there was no sawdust on the boards. You could see some of them back there. You probably could tell they kind of stained. Those had sawdust. I don't know. I generally try to keep it off, but there I didn't. And all my scrap wood pile. And my truck is most of the time on the other side. I'm sitting on top of it now to get some height here. All my scrap pieces I just take, and you can see there's a lot of other stuff ends up on there. I just take and I dump them right there. I burn them right there, and get rid of everything right there in the spot. So I don't have to carry it, but just about 20 feet, maybe 30 feet. Toss it on there. I'll pile it up till it comes a rainy day, and I'll burn it in the rain. It hadn't rained here in a couple months, so that's how, or a month, I guess, since I burned last. But I'm not doing this for a living. I'm just doing it for me. Like I said, that one building, my office, which I'm making a video for that, you could see it. That one building was $13,000. And it doesn't take very many trees. That was one log right there that was one log, and only 1/3 of the tree. I had 3 logs that size in that tree. It's still laying here on the ground, actually. But it doesn't take very many logs, 24 inches in diameter. You can build a pretty good sized building. And that's was the basis of my doings. You could probably see one thing. I got a terrible problem here. It's hard for me to see in the sun. You might be able to see that dead tree back there in the back. From where I'm standing right now, there's probably, and that tree is probably 60 feet to the first limb that would cause you any grief. Maybe 50 feet to the first, no, about 60 feet to the first limb that would cause you any grief. And at the base, it's probably 22 inches or something like that. And from right here, within, say, a 400-foot circle, I probably have 5 like that. And that's common for our area. You're going to lose about 1 tree per year per acre for here. Now that I have the mill, the minute that tree dies, it's too late now. It's been dead for a couple years. The minute it dies, I can cut it down, and at least I'll get something out of it. But that's another consideration when I bought for me buying the mill. But that's it. Those there are, if I can do it without messing up, those there are 16 inches wide, 1-inch boards, and 16 foot long. They were 16 and a half, and I've trimmed them to 16 because it doesn't make any difference. I only need them like 15 3/4. The blades, I have my own. The guy with Norwood gave me a sharpener. I'll make a video on that. That was tough. Setting that sharpener up was tougher than turning that doggone 24-inch, 17-foot long log. That took days for me to get that straight in my mind. Once I got it straight, it's nothing to it. And I probably change blades faster than I should. When they told me change blades every couple hours or 3 hours, that kind of freaked me out. It seemed like, I don't know, for some reason, I thought they ought to last 2 or 3 days. I don't know why. But I change blades now. I probably do change blades every couple hours, which would be, I don't know, every 3 or 4 logs or something like that. And I try to keep the logs real clean, but I'll change the blades. I have 41 blades. 40 now because I intentionally broke one to set the sharpener. I couldn't. It was too much of. It was a pain dealing. Was trying to learn how to use it with a coiled blade, so I broke one. So I had a straight stretch, and then I fixed it up in the living room where I could have plenty of time at night, and I could just sit there and work on it, and it was easy. Once I had that. But that sharpener is the hardest part for me of the whole deal. The sawmill, I put that together. Every single bolt, every single piece I put together myself. Some of it twice, because the sawmill wasn't here at first. I had it in another location first, about 200 feet away. But everything there, it's a lot of bolts. It takes a lot of time, but I took my time. I've seen where people do it in a couple days or a week or something like that. It took me probably a month, but I took my time. I wasn't in no hurry, and it was in the middle of the winter anyway, hunting season, so I had other things on my mind. But one person can do it by themselves, because I did it. Putting the sawmill together was actually quite easy. Just time consuming because of the number of bolts. There's gazillion bolts. The sharpener, that's a different story. That was a little hard for me, but I eventually got it.